Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
From the way the Lone Ranger rode, his Indian friend knew that he brought important news.
Why Padre wants to see you, Kimasabi?
He's concerned about a gambler in the Verdugo Valley who's been cheating the people out of their land.
If him cheat, why Sheriff Moss not arrest him?
Well, this man, Kane, has been able to give his deals an appearance of legality.
Land around Verdugo good for cattle.
Best in the territory. Kane must be stopped before he gains control of the entire valley.
We ride to Verdugo?
Yes. Kane has headquarters in the Gold Coin Cafe.
Hey, Bailey, is Kane in?
Yes, sir. He's in his office. Mr. Wortham, could I speak to you about something?
Oh, sure, but wait till I'm finished with Kane.
Of course, Mr. Wortham.
Come in. Well, Walt, what brings you into town?
I told you I'd pay as soon as I shipped the cattle. I don't like being in debt, particularly when it's a gambling debt.
How do we get Mr. Wortham's note? There's nothing wrong with gambling. It's made me a rich man.
And me, a poor one.
I wouldn't call the owner of a ranch like the Lazy Q a poor man. Let's see. 8,400 originally. With the interest, that'll come to...
Interest? Well, I don't recall there being any mention of interest when I signed those IOUs.
They weren't IOUs. Walt, they were notes. Didn't you read them?
No. I've been drinking too much, I guess.
Well, I couldn't afford to lend money without interest.
How much do I owe?
Well, it comes to $9,240.
What?
That's right.
Let me see those papers. Why, these interest rates are outrageous.
But legal with them. You see, the Lazy Q is mighty valuable property.
So that's it. You want the ranch.
Well, these notes will stand up in court.
You can't collect a gambling debt in court, and you know it.
You borrowed the money to make improvements on your property, remember?
I borrowed the money to pay back gambling losses.
Then you shouldn't sign notes saying that you wanted the dough to build up your ranch.
Well, you're taking advantage of my drinking, you dirty double.
Hey, take it easy.
Now get this, J.O. I'll return what I owe with a decent rate of interest, and that's all.
By law, you owe me $9,240. I intend to collect it.
All right. Take it to court and see who the jury believes, you or me.
Oh, Mr. Wortham, I was going to talk to you about something, remember?
Well, what is it?
Well, I've asked a lot of other folks, but I don't have what they call collateral. But, sir, if you could see your way to...
Well, you picked a bad time for a touch, old man, but I guess I can let you have a couple of bucks.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir, you don't understand. I want to borrow, well, quite a lot of money.
Well, how much?
$500.
$500?
Yes, sir.
You got the wrong man. I'm in debt up to my ears, thanks to that weasel in there.
Is that why you were quarreling?
Yeah. And don't you borrow any money from him, or you'll be in debt to him for the rest of your life.
For the rest of my life.
If Wortham had wanted to improve his ranch, he'd have gone to a bank. Those notes won't stand up in court.
I'm not going to take him to court.
Well, J.O., you said that...
His only relatives live in the East. They'll sell his estate for what they can get out of it.
His estate?
Yeah. Wortham's going to meet with an accident. You see, I figure that, Who is it?
Bailey, sir, may I see you a minute?
Come on in. What is it?
Mr. Kane, I've been working for you for a long time, and I want to make sort of a business proposition.
You mean you want a raise?
No, sir. I want to borrow $500.
Borrow what?
Please, Mr. Kane, I've been to the bank and all over. You're my last chance.
Well, what does a tramp like you want with that kind of money?
I'm a hard worker, Mr. Kane, and I'm stronger than I look. Let me have the money and a month off, and I'll work for you for the rest of my life for nothing.
Now, wait a minute, Bailey.
Well, I'm only 50, Mr. Kane, and I'll live long enough to do a lot more than $500 worth of work.
You say you've been all over town trying to raise this money?
Yes, sir. But everybody wants me to put up something as collateral. Well, the only thing I've got is myself.
Well, don't you know that slavery is against the law now?
Oh, this wouldn't be slavery, Mr. Kane.
Well, I'll think about it.
Oh, sir. You don't know what this means.
Now, don't bust into tears. Just get out of here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And bless you, sir.
Reckon he wants that money bad enough to kill somebody for it?
Not a chance.
Use your head, Otto. Bailey's been begging for money. Wortham has money, and I want Wortham out of the way. What's that add up to?
A frame?
Yeah. The old man always has a cup of coffee after we close. Tonight, put something in it so he'll oversleep. In the morning, I'll get Wortham to come into town, and you'll,
The next morning, in response to a message from Kane, Walt Wortham rode in from the Lazy Q.
Come on, Tonto. Dead.
That was rifle shot we hear. Look at wound.
It was a rifle, all right.
It looked like him been robbed.
Walter Wortham, Lazy Q Ranch. The killer couldn't have gotten very far. We'll wrap the body in a blanket and put it behind the rocks temporarily.
Footprints not hard to follow.
No, but we'd better hurry.
The right foot sank deeper. Killer walk with limp.
The heel of the right shoe is well worn, so the injury isn't temporary.
Well, that make killer easy to find.
Will certainly help identify him. Trail leads to that shack.
Shack look empty.
We'll soon find out.
Who is it?
Somebody who wants to talk to you.
Oh. Well, wait a minute. What do you want? A mask.
Just a minute.
But I haven't anything worth stealing.
Mud on boots, Kimasabi.
He walks with a limp.
Well, who are you? What are you talking about?
A man named Wortham has been murdered.
Wortham?
We found footprints beside the body and followed them directly to this cabin.
Well, no one's been here. Well, you mean you think that I killed him?
What else could I think? Tonto, find his rifle.
I didn't do it. I've been asleep.
Do you usually sleep this late? It's after 10 o'clock.
Oh, I couldn't be.
Rifle fired recently, Kimisami.
That's not true. Why would I want to kill a fine man like Mr. Wortham?
He was robbed. May I see your right shoe?
My right shoe?
I want to compare it with the prints outside.
Oh, sure, mister. Go ahead. You compare them, and you'll see. Oh, I didn't leave this place all night.
Keep him covered.
You go, too. Boot fit, Kimisami?
Perfectly. Here, put your shoe on. We're taking you to Sheriff Moss.
But I didn't kill him.
That'll be for a jury to decide. Tonto, get the rest of his clothes.
Ah.
Come on now, let's go.
But, mister, I didn't kill him, I tell you.
Bailey, it'll go a lot better for you if you stop lying and tell the truth.
I am telling the truth. How do you know he's not the killer?
If you knew him, you wouldn't ask such a fool question.
The evidence points to you, not to me.
Well, then there's something wrong with the evidence.
Face the facts, Bailey. You've been all over town trying to borrow $500. Wortham was robbed and murdered. Now, your footprints led from his body directly to where you were found. Your rifle had been fired recently. And when I searched your shack, I found this hidden under the mattress. $837.
Sheriff, I didn't put the money there. I didn't kill Mr. Wortham either. You've got to believe me.
Why did you need the $500, Bailey?
That's my affair.
Would you mind if I spoke to him alone? Perhaps I can persuade him to talk.
You're welcome to try. I can't make him talk.
Sheriff, you're not going to leave me alone with this critter.
He won't hurt you, I promise you that. Now, here's the key to the cell. I'll have to lock the outer door, but I'll be right in the office when you want out.
Sheriff Moss, wait, please, please.
Don't be afraid, Bailey. We want to help you if we can, but you'll have to tell us the truth.
I just heard about old Bailey. Is it true?
Yeah, working for you must have given him ideas.
Very funny, Moss. Did the old boy really kill Wortham?
Well, it's as near an open and shut case as I've ever seen.
Ah, the poor devil. I'd like to see him.
And you'll have to wait. There's somebody with him now.
A silver bullet.
Now, do you believe me?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. If I'd known who you were, I wouldn't have been so unfriendly.
Bailey, the sheriff told me that you work for J.O. Kane. Did he hire you to kill Wortham?
Oh, no, sir, no, sir. And I didn't kill Mr. Wortham. Honestly, I didn't.
I see. Now, about this money you were trying to borrow.
Please don't ask me about that.
If we're going to help you, you need to tell us everything. Don't you trust us?
I trust you, sir. Only, well, I've never told anyone before. I have a daughter.
Yes?
And I wanted $500 so I could go to May's wedding. She's marrying young Jim Ogilvy in St. Louis next month.
The governor's son?
Oh, I know it don't seem possible, looking at me, I mean. But that's why I wanted the money. I didn't want her to be ashamed.
She wouldn't be ashamed.
Oh, I'm a failure. I never was able to make a decent living. I never should have gotten married. My wife died because I couldn't afford medicine and doctors for her.
Was that when your daughter was born?
Yes. And I swore it was going to be different with her. I sent her to live with her mother's folks back east. And I saved and I scrimped and I worked. And I put May through the best school in St. Louis. I bought her pretty clothes and wrote her pretty lies about being a successful rancher.
You never see her?
No, that would have spoiled everything. But I taught myself grammar and penmanship so I could write to her. Oh, she wrote wonderful letters. It was like hearing from somebody living in a world you'd never seen. Somebody you loved but couldn't be near. And then 2 weeks ago, she wrote about being engaged and said if I didn't come to the wedding, she and her husband would come out west to see me. Well, that's why I wanted $500. I couldn't let her come here, and I couldn't go to the wedding. Not like this. I needed money for the trip and some decent clothes and a wedding present. Oh, I wanted that money as bad as anything. But I wouldn't kill anybody for it, sir.
Your daughter's name is May Bailey?
Yes, sir. But no matter what happens to me, she mustn't know.
Nothing's going to happen to you.
You mean you believe I'm innocent?
You'd do a lot for your daughter, but I don't believe you'd commit murder.
But the evidence, you said yourself it all pointed to me.
There's almost too much evidence. Do you know anyone who would want to get Wortham out of the way?
Oh, no. Well, he was a fine young man, even if he did like to gamble.
He gambled?
Yes, sir. He was in debt to Mr. Kane. I heard him quarreling about it.
J.O. Kane. I wonder.
Why anybody kill men who owe him money?
Often it's easier to collect from a dead man's estate, particularly if there's any question about the deal.
But that just guess, Kimasabi. We not have proof.
I know it's a guess, but sometimes you can learn a lot by pretending you know more than you do.
How you mean?
We'll spread the word around that Bailey has been framed, that we can produce evidence to clear him and convict the murderer.
A bluff like that might be dangerous for you, sir.
If we can save an innocent man, it'll be worth the risk. Let's go, Tonto.
Oh, please, sir. You've been so wonderful, and it's been such a long time since anyone bothered. I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything. Just hope that our plan works and the murderer reveals himself.
You know, Moss, it's always those meek, harmless-looking creatures who always fly off the handle and...
Just a minute. Masked man. Relax. He's a friend of mine. Any luck?
I learned a lot.
You mean he confessed?
No, he didn't confess.
What's the idea of the mask, stranger?
That's his business, Kane.
Kane, are you J.O. Kane?
Yeah.
I've heard about you.
Well, now, that's a remark that could be taken more than one way.
I know. Well, Bailey convinced me that he's innocent.
Not guilty. Why, you caught him red-handed.
The evidence was circumstantial. I think he was framed.
Could you prove that, mister?
I think I can. Whoever framed him forgot one very important fact.
What's that?
I'll tell you later. Tonto and I are going out to Old Bailey's cabin, and when we return, I think we'll be able to tell you who really did kill Wortham. Adios.
Say, who is that hombre?
A lot of people call him the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger? See, I've got to get back to my place.
Well, don't you want to see Old Bailey?
Later, I have some business to attend to. The Lone Ranger's in town.
What?
He says Old Bailey was framed and he can prove it.
Why, that's impossible.
Nothing's impossible with that hombre. When you borrowed Old Bailey's boots, are you sure he was unconscious?
It was that way when I brought the boots and the gun back and planted the money.
The Lone Ranger told Moss that whoever framed Old Bailey overlooked something important.
Well, maybe he's bluffing.
He's bluffing. How do you know Old Bailey was framed? You must have slipped up somewhere.
Well, what'll we do?
The Lone Ranger and his engine pal have gone to Old Bailey's place. We got to make sure that they don't come back.
Me hear someone come.
They're here, all right.
They may not be in the shack.
Stay here and cover me in case I run into trouble.
Drop that gun. I said drop your gun.
What's the idea?
That's what I was going to ask you. What are you doing here?
Nothing. I just came out to look around.
That doesn't explain why you sneaked up on this cabin with a gun in your hand.
Why should I explain anything to you?
We set a trap for the man who killed Wortham and framed Old Bailey. You walked right into it.
You can't pin anything on me.
I think we can.
We take him inside, Kimasabi?
Yes. In the past, Tonto and I have been quite successful at persuading crooks to talk.
You're not going to be successful with me.
Tonto, pick up his gun.
Drop your guns, both of you.
Nice going, Otto. I dropped that other gun. Engine dropped that knife. Step away.
Come on, step back.
What are you going to do?
We're going to take up where we left off, only you're going to do the talking.
When we plug him, he'd be done with
Don't
it.
be a fool. You said we overlooked something when we framed old Bailey. What was it?
Something you won't find out until it's too late.
Now get inside and don't get too smart about it. Are you going to talk now, or we're going to have to get nasty about it?
I haven't anything to say.
And we won't waste any more time. I don't get that rope off the wall and tie him up.
I'm going to holster my gun, so watch him.
Don't worry. Now put your hands behind you.
I mean, not talk no matter what you do.
On your feet, you two. Get rid of that gun, Kane. Don't use the other hand. Throw it on the floor. We're going to tie you two up and take you to jail. Otto certainly signed a complete confession, but he claims there was only $337 in Wortham's wallet.
Well, he confessed they planted the additional 500 in old Bailey's shack. More than enough to match the amount he'd been trying to borrow.
Kane, plenty smart crook.
But not smart enough. Thanks to you two, we have enough to hang both of them. And I'm sure grateful. And so's old Bailey.
Where is Bailey? We promised that we'd say goodbye before we left.
Well, he said he'd be here by this time.
I don't know that we'll be able to wait much longer.
Can I help you, mister?
Don't you recognize me?
It's old Bailey. For Pete's sake.
I can hardly believe it myself.
You look great, Bailey. How did you do it?
Well, the sheriff decided Kane put that money in my shack of his own free will, so it belongs to me. I wanted to give it to you, sir, for all you've done. But he said you wouldn't take it.
He's right, Bailey. The money's yours.
I can't begin to thank you, sir. Besides all this, I got enough for coach fare and a wedding present for May.
Here's a little something that Tonto and I want May to have. Will you deliver it for us?
Oh, so much has happened, and you've been so kind. I just don't know what to say.
Well, we'll say goodbye. Good luck, Bailey. I hope May will like that silk Spanish shawl we're sending her.
Goodbye, sir, and bless you both. You know, I'll be grateful to them for the rest of my days.
It was nice of them to give your daughter a wedding present. But what does the card say?
Oh, for May, who has a wonderful father. It's signed Tonto and the Lone Ranger.